Let's start with 2021. Mathematics Ordinary Level, Paper 1, 2021. Now, before we start with the questions, always read the instructions and information to the candidates. Candidates answer on the question paper in the spaces provided. Please don't ask for any extra paper. Everything must be on this question paper. If you need an extra space, at the back of the question paper, they give you extra space. And in this question paper, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be on page 15 is a blank page and 16. Okay, so you can just mark it and go if you don't have enough space. So write your center number, candidate number and name in the spaces at the top of the page. So it means there, fill in. Very important. Write in dark blue or black pen. You may use a soft pencil for any diagrams or graphs. And now I'm going to read something on the examination report, which they wrote, the examinations. Learners should be encouraged to show all the working in the spaces provided. A correct method can score a mark even if an answer is wrong. So I'm just going to fill, if working is needed for any question, it must be shown below or where working is indicated. Very important. But I'm coming to the pencil. There are some learners who are writing their methods with a pencil and erase them afterwards. Learners should be discouraged to erase their working. So if you wrote with a pencil something extra, just leave it. But focus on working in blue and black pen and the diagrams and things with a pencil. Okay. Do not use correction fluid. No Tipp-Ex. So if you did something wrong, just make a cross through it. But please, don't leave two options. Say this or this, because the examiner will mark the first option. So if your first method is, then make a stripe through that work and then show the examiner which one he must mark. Okay, so leave the one that must be marked without a stripe through. Do not write in the margin for examination use. So this, the margin here, that's not for you. Don't write there. Answer all questions. Okay, every question. So please, every question counts mark. Now, okay, I'm going on here. The number of marks is given at brackets at the end of each question or part question. So the number of marks will show you also an indication of how many methods you must write or how long the question or complicated the question are. Okay, and then non-programmable calculators may be used. So please, you can use a calculator and use it. It's going to help you. And then a very important, if the degree of accuracy is not specified in the the question, and if the answer is not exact. Now, what does that mean? It means if the answer don't stop. If you have 2,125, then you don't approximate it. You just write 2,125. But here, give the answer to 3 significant figures otherwise. But now, I just want to read, or give answer for angles to 1 decimal place. But this is very, very important in the examination report. If an answer is exact, learners do not need to round it to 3 significant figures. That means if it stops on the calculator. But very important. Learners should be encouraged to write the full calculator display before their attempt to round it to 3 significant figures. So first write everything on your calculator, and I'm going to try my best to remember it. And then in this final space, approximate it to 3 significant figures. So maybe it can help you to score an extra point. I don't know. Now, for the questions where units are not provided in the answer space, learners should indicate the units used with the answer. So write your unit if it's not standing there. And then for pi, either use your calculator, the value on your calculator, or 3,142. Okay, that. And before I start this question paper, they just said in this paper 1, there are some topics that provide to be difficult for learners, like logarithms, linear programming, vectors, functions, reverse percentage, estimation, rounding off, variation, measuration, cumulative frequency. So the questions based on these topics were mostly answered wrong or even left out. So please try to put your focus after you know the basics a little bit more on that topics. Okay, but with that in mind, we're going to start the question paper. Okay, let's start. Question number 1. Calculate bracket square root 15 plus 7 close the bracket to the power 3. Give your full calculator display. So basically this is just in a calculator. So take your calculator and start with the bracket. Press bracket, the open bracket. Then press square root 15 plus 7 close bracket to the power, you remember to the power is that, to the power 3 equals. Now, give your full calculator display. So I'm going to write, it's going to be 1. Okay, can I just say this? On your calculator, sometimes you will get a comma there. Please don't write the comma, you just write the point. So 0.4, the comma is just showing every 1,000. So 423,302. That is what they want. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 8. You can actually directly write it in this space. Otherwise, just to spare time. And don't stop. What they said is they gave 1 mark. Say, for example, somebody was just writing up to there. They gave them 1 mark. Okay. Or if somebody was saying 1, 2, and they make it to 3 significant 90, then they also gave 1 mark. Okay. Or something like that. Or even more. Say 1285.4233, but not 0, 1 mark. Okay. But actually, they wanted this to get your 2 out of 2. Okay. So please just go for your final to get that. Now let's go on. Question number 2. Write 0 point as a common fraction in its simplest form. Write 3/5 as a percentage. And I want to take you to the textbook because there's a very nice table in the textbook who's helping you with that type of questions. Very nice. And I'm going to go through it. And it's in the y equals mx plus c to success. Mathematics, grade 10, 11, part 1. On page 9, this example 4. I want you to go through with it. So it's a vulgar fraction. A vulgar fraction is always where you have 1 on top and 1 at the bottom. A decimal is almost like you press it on. So it's 0, or 0.175. And a percentage is if you take the decimal and you multiply it with 100. Okay. Now, if you go from, and I'm going to do, if you go from a vulgar, this you can just do with the calculator. Okay, so just with the calculator. And this, you're going to multiply with 100. So if the reverse will then be, I divide with 100. Okay, and here it will be, if it's 3 zeros, 3 decimal places, I put it's 175 over 1000, 3 zeros. If it's 1 decimal place, it's over 10. If it's 2 decimal places, it's over 100. So let's just start with this table. Now it's in reverse. So if I 70%, so I can say 70, that percent means out of 100. So I can say 70 divide 100 and I get 0.7. Okay, there is my answer. Now, if I want to make it a vulgar, there's only 1, can you see, place after the comma, after the point. So I just put it over 10. And now you can just check, you must simplify it. Now, if you want, you can always press that ABC just to check. So there's a key on your calculator. And most, I think, calculators is having it, BC. That's the fraction. So you can say 7, ABC, 10, just to check. No, it's in the simplest form. Okay. Now, this one, they give the middle. So if I go to this side, what do? I multiply 100. So if I say 0.175 and I times 100, and I get 17.5. And you can check here. I showed you. So this is now, I went first to this one. So I should have first do this one. But this is 17.5. And don't forget your percentage sign. And if I go back, then it's there's not the final, over 1,000, because there's 1, 2, 3 places after the comma. But if you simplify, now press that key as I said. So say 175 ABC, 1,000, and I get 7/40. And that is in the simplest form. That is as a Wilker fraction in the simplest form. So this will help you. So let's go back to the question and see if it's going to help us. Oh, definitely it's going to. Let's just see. Okay, I'm just going to move it a little bit down again. So if you look at this, so if it's 0,3 as a common in its simplest form. Now how many, if you check, there is, I'm going to write with blue, so it's 2. So it's going to be 36 over 100, 2 zeros. Don't forget to simplify, they set in the simplest form. So go for that key, as I said, A, and it's BC. It's the fraction one. Otherwise, I'll show you other method also. So 36 ABC 100, and that is going to be 9/25. And that was the one they were looking for. Otherwise, you must just say, okay, I can divide this by, you can start by saying, I'm going to divide this by 4. And if I divide this by 4, whatever I divide on top, I divide at the bottom. Or I can divide 2 and 2, 2 and 2. But at the end, I must just come to something. There's nothing that I can divide on top, which I can also divide at the bottom. Okay. So that was for your 1 point. And then as a percentage, now can you remember? We just took the Wilker. We can make it a decimal, but we can just press it on the calculator. Then if we press it, say 3 divide 5, I get 0.6. So I get the 0.6. And then if I times with 100, so times 100, and then I get 60%. And I get 60%. And don't forget what they said. If there's not a unit, put your unit there. They want it. Okay, so don't neglect that. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Question number 3. From the list of numbers, write down a prime number. Now, again, I'm going to take you to the summary. I just want to see what you must focus on. You must focus on prime numbers and square numbers. So let's go to the textbook. We will find it in the textbook. It's, I think, the first page in part 1. It's not that one. Okay, so just, that was not the one. I should have focused on 3. Okay, here it's in the textbook. It's page 2. It's the first page in the textbook. And it's just coming from lower grades, just giving you a summary of all the different numbers. But the one I want you to focus now on, you can see all the different for this question. I just want to focus on prime numbers. Now, what is standing at prime numbers? Numbers which have only 2 factors. Only 2 factors. The number 1 and the number itself. So one, it must have 2 different factors. Okay. So the first one is 2. It's 1 and 2. 3. What can divide in 3? 1 and 3. 5. 1 and 5. 7. 1 and 7. Not 9. Because 9 can 1, 3 and 9. So it's having 3 factors. Okay. And then what is a square number? It's the result is the product when the number is multiplied by itself. So it's 1 square, 2 square, that answer. Okay, 3 square. So that's 1, that's 4, that's 9. And that's what it's going to be. So let's go back to the question with that in mind. That was on page 2, the first page in the part 1 textbook. And if we go back to the question paper, oh, there it is. So prime numbers. So 8, no, I can already see 8 is out. Okay. 13 is a good choice. 13. Okay. 49, no. 77, because 1 7 can divide. 70 is 11 can. But 109, check a bit. It cannot divide by 2. It cannot. So always say, can he divide by 2? Can he divide by 3? Can he divide by 5? Can he take the prime numbers? Can he divide by 7? And so. But so, no, it cannot. So, you could have either write this one or 109. Both were. You don't have to write both. They didn't say all the prime numbers. So it was, if you wrote this one, if you wrote both, you would have also be correct. Then a square number. What number was multiplied by itself? It was definitely 7 to get what? 49, but I want that result. So what will it be? It will be 49. So please, it's very basics. It's coming even from primary school, but just go and make sure you know your basics. Okay, that will already help. Okay, then the next question. Write 5.2 multiply 10 to the power negative 4 as an ordinary number. Oh, that's standard form. I can just look at it and say, oh, it's in standard form. So again, let's go to the textbook. It's going to help us. Where is it in my textbook? So let's go to question 4. And I'll show you where it is it's in numbers. We're still in chapter 1. We're just busy with chapter 1, page 19. And the chapter is numbers and operations. It was the previous also. And if you look at question number 14, I think that question is going to help you. Okay, so let's just see. They say express each of the following as an integer or as a decimal in ordinary notation. Ordinary notation, ordinary number. Okay, so this. Now, very important. You must focus if that is positive or that is negative. If it's positive, you start, and I'm going to again do it. It's you start. If it's positive, you put a lot of zeros at the back. Doesn't matter, as long as this. And then you say, oh, the comma was there. Okay, let me take red. It was there, and it moved 1, 2, 3, 4. And the ones that's too much, you scratch. And that is your number. Okay, so 28500. Okay, but if it's negative, what do we do? So you're still right, right? Let's just write it 2. Okay, I just want to, just put it more in the middle here, 285. But then, because it's negative, it's small. You put zeros, and you can put just as long as you put more than there is. And now it's standing here. And now you will go 1, 2, 3. You move that amount, 3. I was moving 4 there. Here I move 3. Now you leave 1 in front, and you scratch the rest. And that is your answer. So it's 0.00285. Do you see? 0.00285. And there it's done. It's really not difficult. Okay, so let's just go back to the question paper. And if I can repeat, in the textbook, in my textbook, it was on page 19. Let's go back to the question paper. So there's the question paper. Okay. So if I'm going to start, write as an ordinary notation number, it's fine. You can use this as your rough space. So make it 5 and it was a 2. It's just your rough. And because it's, can you see, it's negative, I put the zeros in front. And you can put one more, 5, doesn't matter. But then you just start and you say, okay, the comma was there. And I must move how many places? 4, because there's a 4. 1. Okay, let's just try to get it. Maybe it wasn't white. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Leave always 1 and scratch the rest. So it's going to be 0.00052. And that's your answer. It's really not that difficult. So practice that a little bit. Okay. Okay, then the next question. Arrange the following numbers in order of size, starting with the smallest. So they could have said ascending order, but they were nice. They told you the smallest. And again, I want to first take you to the textbook, and that's question 5. So we are there at question 5. And if I can show you in the textbook, it was here. Do you see page 17? You see there? Okay, and now I'm just going to show you here also. Okay, remember what I said? They could have been, say, ascending order or descending order, but they were nice. They said the smallest first. So write these numbers in order of size, starting with the smallest. Very, very important, which I want you to focus on. First, write all the number in the same form. Change to decimals. Decimals is the best. So in this case, I press this on the calculator. Just get my pen correct, okay? And I get this. And then this is divided by 100, and I get this. And this is the square root, and I get this. And now I can start comparing the same positions. So if I look, there's an 8, there's an 8, there's an 8. Tells me nothing, sorry. There's a 2, 2, 2. No. Oh, here it starts. I can even use another color. Third position is an 8. Then it's a 0, 0. Okay, so I already know you are the biggest. Okay, and I go to the next position. But because now that one is out. Don't forget, it's the biggest. Okay, now between these two, now I go to that position. That. Oh, you 9, so you are bigger than this 0. So you are the smallest. And you can write there for you. You are the biggest. And you are going to be the middle child. Okay, so basically I'm just, and write it now in the original form, in the form that it was. So if I say the smallest first, then it's 82%. Do you see? There is the smallest. Then it's the middle child, okay? And then it's the biggest, and I write the position. So just get, this is the most. First write all the numbers in the same form. Where did I find this in the textbook? It was part 1, grade 10, 11, y equals mx plus c on page 17. Okay, let's just go back to the question paper. Okay, and we are here. It's very nice. It's actually grade 8, 9 stuff, and it's even primary school. But refresh your memory on the basics. So arrange the following. So before I start, I will go and I will just arrange. I will just press 3 divide 5 on your calculator. I get 0.6. Okay, press 17 divide 30. And I get 0.56. I'm just going to show it's 6666. Otherwise, you can just put that. It's just that dot on the 6. Continue. But you can also make a few if it's going to help you. And then 7 divide 12 equals, and that's 0.58. And now it's 3. Okay, so you could have put the dot also there. Okay, now start with the positions. So 0, 0, 0. Stop. No, don't help me. 6, 5, 5. But I can already see this 6. You are the biggest. Okay? Now it's between these two. Now I go to the next position. You are a, okay, so 5. You are a 6. And I made it a little bit long. And an 8. Okay, so you are the middle. And then you are the smallest. But as I said, already remember to write it in the original. So I will start with 70 over 30, the original form. Okay. And then the middle, remember this was middle. Any way you want to mark it, it's your space. And please don't clean it. Leave it how like what you are writing there, like I'm doing now. And then it's original 7 over 12. And then original 3 over 5. Okay. And that is my answer. And nice. For just putting that, you get how many marks? Okay, let's just make it red. You get 2 marks. And can I just want to tell you on the memo, what will they give for 1 mark? So usually, if there's 2 marks, they say M1 for any 2 correct conversions to decimals. Okay, so if you took it to decimals, so please don't clean it or erase it. To percentage. So even if they saw this working, they would have gave you a mark, even if you didn't do this correct. Okay. Or if you put it from the biggest to the smallest, you would have also scored 1 mark. Okay, that was the first paper. Very, very nice. Let's go to the next paper. Okay. When we start with this one, question 6, express 380 as the product of its prime factors. Again, I'm going to take you just to the textbook just to help you. This is question 6. And that was 5, and that's 6a. And that is also coming from primary school, but still, just refresh your memory. What is the prime factors? Now, can you remember prime factors? Can I just tell you what page it is? Forgot that. That's on page 3, the second page on part 1, textbook, grade 10, 11. So the prime factors, so what is the prime factors? Okay, let's just see. The prime factors, you use the prime numbers, and it's this little blocks. So you start with 2 and you continue with 2 until, so 20 divided 2 is 10. Then continue with 2. 10 divided 2 is 5. Until 2 cannot. Then you try 3. Then you go to 5. And then this is the prime factors. So 2 times 2 times 5. That is in factor form. And in index notation, we say 2 to the power 2 times 5. Okay. And it always ends with a 1. So let's just go back to the question paper. That's the next page. Okay. So remember, what did I use? I used the prime numbers. Okay. The prime numbers is 2, 3, 5, at least up to 11. Okay. But I start with my little blocks. So I say 380. And if I like to do it like this, and I just start and I just say 2. And if I divide 2, I get 190. And remember, you continue with 2 until 2 cannot go into it anymore. 9, 5. Now, then you go to 3. No, 3 cannot go. So I go to 5. So 5 can go in 19. 19 is a prime number. And you continue until you have 1. So this is actually 2 times 2 times 5 times 19. Or I think they would have marked that correct. Or 2, because they didn't specify what form. And that is your prime factors. Okay. And again, they would have gave you a mark if they saw that you were using. I just want to read to you, when did they give you a mark? B1 for listing 2259 or 1 times 2. So if you list just that, or if they see, they gave you 1 mark. But otherwise, it's 2 marks. Now find the highest common factor. Now, you already have 380. Do the same with 114. I'm going to do it and then I'll take you. So if I do the same with 114, exactly, I start with 2. And then if I start, I get 57. And now 3 can go. How do I know? Because 5 plus 7 is 12. And if 12 can divide into 3, 57 will also divide. And then I get 19. And I go 19 and I go 1. And this is going to be 2 times 3 times 19. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to list it like this. And then I'll take you to the textbook just to remind you of highest common factor. So it's going to be 2 times 3 times 19. And the other one is 380. That is going to be 2 to the power of 2 times 5. So just be careful. Times 19. Okay. Now, let me just take you to the textbook. I want to show you one sentence there. And that's 6b. Because it's standing here. And it's standing, I can show you where. The highest common factor. We do it to take out the common factor. And it's on page 100. And it's actually in factorizing that we use this method in algebra. But the method stands here, and this is why I want you to focus on this sentence. It's how do I find the highest common factor of a number? So right there, so take only the bases that occur in both terms. So although the words say high, that means high big things, but you do the small things. So you only take the bases that's in both terms. So in this case, you will take 2 because 2 is in both. And you take the one with the smallest index. So you will take 2 to the power of 3. And then 3 is not in both, so you don't take it. So A you will take, and the smallest one is A to the power of 2. B you will take, and the smallest one is 2, 1. So if I must find the highest common factor, it's going to be 2 to the power of 3, A to B. And that's how I also take out the common factor. So 2 to the power of 3 was that 8, A to the power 2b. Okay, but I want you to focus on this. You only take the bases that occur in both terms and the one with the smallest index. Okay, so let's go back to the question paper and we follow that principle. So if we go back, it's now there, it's just numbers, it's not variables. So if I must think of, I'm just going to say, I'm going to take definitely 2 because 2 is in both, do you see? And the one with the smallest is 1. So it's 2 to the power of 1. Is there a 3 in both? No. Is there a 5 in both? No, I don't take it. Is there a 19 in both? Yes. Okay, and now you can multiply it, and if you multiply it, you get 38. And then the highest common factor is 38, and that's how you do it. Okay, can I just say lowest common multiple? I didn't ask it, but then you do the opposite. You do big things. You take all the different bases with the biggest exponents, but that's not for this question. Okay. So please bear that in mind. And if you must get questioned on, they will say 1 for listing the factors. So if you were listing the factors of this one, you would have get that 1 extra. But if you just come to 38, you will get your 2 marks. Okay. Question number 7. On a certain day, a shop sold 80% of 900 copies of Ipukuru newspapers. Okay. Calculate the number of copies that were left in the shop. Remember, 80 is gone. So actually, you can already say, okay, there was 100% full. And then 80 is gone. So there's actually left 20%. And I must go and work out 20% of 900. And if I must just take you quickly to percentage, as I said, it's also very, very basic. But I want to show you. I will just take you to question 7. It's in the textbook, it's percentage, and it's on page 11. Okay, calculate 30% of 60. So I just say 30 over 100, because that percentage means out of 100, and I just multiply by 60, and I get the answer. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm working 20% out. You can work 80, but then you must subtract at the end. Okay, which I will show you also. Okay, so then I'm just going to say, that's easy, 20 out of 100, and I times with the 900, and what do I get? 180 degrees. So used to degrees is 1. Okay, so 180 copies is left. Okay, I could have said their highest common factor equals 38. I just wanted to be more complete. Otherwise, I could have, but please, very important, I mention other methods, but I even don't want to write it down, because they also, one of the things in which I saw in the report is that students go and they write both methods down. Please don't do that. Choose a method and leave that method. If you want, you can test, but don't leave both, but it's not necessary. So the other method, I would have said 80 over 100, multiply, then I would get 720, and then 900 minus 720 is 180. So I'm just going to mention it and not write it down. Okay, and then question number 8. Oh, I forgot to tell you the marks. So in this case, they would have gave you a mark for doing that, and then your final. But if you come to the final, you would have gave 2 marks. Okay. Or if you were doing the other method, if you set that 900 and you subtract the 720, they would have also give you that extra mark. Okay. Then Kalefa started exercising at 10:15 and finished at 11:05 on the same day. For how long was Kalefa exercising? Now, I just want to show you where is time, because this is not a difficult one. But I just want to show you, if you want to revise time, you will find it in my textbook. This is part 2 on page 498, and that's duration of time. Okay. So if it's, this is far more difficult, you will take AM and you will take it to the 24 hour, and then you will subtract. Just remember, if you take an hour, that you 60, so it's 60 plus the 30, and that will give you 90, and then you subtract. But as I said, this is on page 498 if you want. That was not a difficult one. because it's a round minute. I will call it like that. What do I mean by that? You could have even counted on your fingers, but let me first do the mathematical way. Okay, so it's 11:05. So if it's 11:05 and I subtract 10:15, and what I said, if you take an hour, just remember an hour is 60 minutes. So it's going to be 10, and then it's 65, adding an hour, and then 10:15. And I subtract, and I get on, and there's 0. I get 50 minutes. But otherwise, just say, okay, it's 5. If I 10:15, if I go up to 11 o'clock, that will be 45 minutes. Do you agree? And if I add the 5 minutes, the extra 5 after 11, then it's 45 plus 5, and it's 50 minutes. Okay, so anyway, just get your answer. It's really not. You're working with time every day of your life. Then last one is also very, very basic. I take you again to just the basics. I just show you where it's in my textbook. If you really want to go through the basics, it's on page, I think in the previous, I took you to the 8 and 9, and then I saw, but it's also in the grade 10, 11. Okay, it's on page 21. It's chapter 1. And in this case, this is fractions, and this is how we handle it from primary school. And I think that question is subtraction. So change a mixed number into an improper fraction. That's what I did. So 1 times 4 is 4 plus 3, it's 7/4. And then make the denominators the same by getting the lowest common multiple now. So I take both to 12, and then I just subtract, and don't forget your negative numbers there. Okay, and you can make it mix again, but you can also leave it improper. Okay, so please just and remember that multiply, it's just 1 times 4 plus that 3 on top. If you want, you can just revise it there on page 21. I just take you to this one. Okay, let's do it. It's very basic. Again, if you just write the answer, they are going to not give you marks, because they want to see if you can do it without a calculator. That's why I show all your working. So let's start there. So 2 times 5, okay, that's 10 plus 3. So it's going to be 13/5. So first make it improper, minus a quarter. Then make the denominators the same. The LCM of 5 and 4 is 20. So 20 divided 5, 8 times 4. And I like writing it in. And then 20 divided 4, it's 5. I write 5. I like, even I do, because sometimes so easy things, you do it so fast and you make so unnecessary mistakes. Okay, and especially if you are stressed in a paper. So it's 52/20 minus 5/20, which is actually just saying 52 minus 5, and it's over 20. And if I do that, I'm going to get 47/20. You could have stopped by saying 47/20, or you could have made it mix and say it goes in 2 times 7/20, or they even marked 2,35. But please show your method. They are testing if you can, because what they are going to do is they're going to put A's and B's. They're going to put algebraic things in, variables. And then you cannot do it on the calculator. So please know your basics, because algebra is based on this basics if you come to algebraic fractions. Okay, let's go to the next page.